guys? It is time for the Game Day Huddle. What's up, everybody? What is going on?
Yes. Lots to talk about.
It's time.
It is time.
It is. That was used this weekend. It's time was used, and it was used in a very serious way.
Yes, so this weekend we had UFC 272. Bitter grudge match between the two residents of the 305. Shouting out to the 305s, talking about who owns the 305.
Right.
Down in Miami. Yeah, it was all around the overall card was a great card. Lots of good fights. Right. Some, the RDA fight before the main event was a little boring. Kid that he fought, he was pretty tough. They should have probably stopped the fight 2 rounds before that and saved everybody the misery of watching it. But it just showed how tough this Brazilian was. Right. Anytime somebody takes a fight within like 2 to 3 weeks notice, usually it doesn't turn out very well.
You know it's going to be bad, yeah.
Yeah, especially on the lungs aspect of it. Trying to be able to be in fight ready shape. Right. That's tough. But yes, going into Covington Masvidal, they were talking so much trash. I think this was the first pay-per-view this year in the last 3 months that everybody's kind of been ready. Yeah. There was so much draw to it. It was almost like a Conor McGregor type-esque fight where everybody was drawn to it just to see the sort of played out. And Covington did what he should have did.
Right.
He was a minus 330, I think.
Right.
A huge favorite.
Big favorite, yeah, I'd say.
Well, and he should have been, because Masvidal was breaking cards the night before the fight.
Oh, yeah?
He was breaking cards on Whatnot.
Yeah.
Before the fight.
So, the
He
story
also
with
burned Covington.
Yeah, so he actually, Masvidal, the card shop, well, he's partners with a card shop down in Miami. So he's into the card game.
Right. Yeah. We see him often.
Yeah. He's had all the conventions and all the shows and stuff. We see him around.
He was in California when we were there.
Recently,
Yeah, when we were there.
So he's involved in the card game, and yes, they did an Immaculate. The story is, prior to that, they opened up Immaculate, and Covington numbered it 10, and he burnt it live on stream. Yeah, since the guy signed it for the guy, and since it on the guy, live the night before, he pulls another one.
Yeah.
And then defaces that same Covington card. He draws a big old wiener on the front of it and does this whole thing. And I'm sure the guy that's going to get it is probably excited because, hey, you got the 101 now with that card.
Yeah.
So now there's only...
That's a unique.
And now there's only
that's
8 that are possibly,
8 of 10.
Yeah, now it's 8 of 10, really.
So now there's, even a lower pop count.
Yeah.
Which drove that price up. So actually, you did him a favor by driving that price up now.
And he's a lot of fun when it comes to, the card game and everything that he's involved in. He just can't match the wrestling. The one thing about it, I wrestled my whole life. I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. I also wrestled since he was 5 years old. But it's very hard to match up with a wrestler when you're just a standing guy. If you don't knock him out, usually within the first 45 to 2 minutes of the fight, you're usually going to use that one because they're going to get down you, take you down, and beat you up.
Right.
And grind on like Masvidal was saying, stiff in his crotch the whole fight. But yeah, that's what wrestlers do. Yeah. If you look throughout the UFC, the wrestlers have dominated because of that aspect. Because when you wrestle your whole life, body positioning and all that stuff, it becomes second nature.
Well, they're crazy strong for the mat too.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that gets overlooked a lot of times. Just how strong someone is without their legs.
Yeah.
Those guys are generally ridiculous.
And then
yeah.
Most wrestlers, you'll never see them gas out. They're go, 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 because that's what they're trained to do.
You're building for.
Right,
Building
exactly.
for your whole life. You're doing a 6-minute match, and then in college you're doing, a 7-minute match. So it's what they're bred into doing, and so yeah, you beat them up,
So you
took them
can't
down.
you can't do that in 2 weeks then?
Me?
No, I'm saying like
Yeah, you.
I'm me. I'm like me. Whoa, I'm a long way from that. That's pretty good. 20 years.
You can't take a fight. You can't take a fight next week, bro.
Nah, maybe with one fight, but other than that, probably not.
Could you beat Mike in a wrestling match?
Absolutely not. No.
Not gonna work it.
Okay. Don't let his physique. Now.
Yeah.
You almost every round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
look at the record book, Michael's at the top. Almost every category.
And just think about it, and he loves Pokemon.
Yeah. Micah Chu is a good wrestler.
Micah Chu is.
Who knew?
But you know, I noticed that both guys got cheered really well. Like, that's what I thought was unique, is that usually you have a bad guy, good guy scenario, and in this case,
What's up, Carlos?
it wasn't that crazy bad guy scenario. There was truly Covington fans and truly basketball fans in the building.
Yeah.
And they didn't boo the other guy, they cheered their guy.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was funny because someone who did get booed was Kyrie Irving this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So Kyrie went back to the Garden,
Yeah, back to Boston.
and they let him have it. And he was quoted to say, "It's like a scorned girlfriend wants an explanation of why I left, but still hoping for a text back." The guy was really, really sour about it. Like, he was visibly taken back, and it showed. And I think that this is going to set him up for the rest of the season with this team. That every arena they go to, they're going to be just. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you? You know,
If you see that kind of reaction,
shook him.
yeah.
You know,
You gotta let it roll off your back, because if you make it look like it bothers you, then yeah, everyone's gonna jump on it.
Doing it.
Yeah,
you mentioned that there's a bit, people are chanting Chloe, right?
they are to Tristan Thompson when he shoots free throws, and it's supposed to be like somewhat quiet or whatever, especially in your home.
Yeah.
Like they're chanting Chloe everywhere.
I remember, like, was it last year in the playoffs when they were for like
Yeah.
something like
Yes.
that? 10, 9, and then
It
he
takes
gets all
so
flirt.
long.
Yeah.
It
It's
takes
all
so long.
flustered.
And then, like, he did the one time where, like, he acted like he was going to, and then he stepped back, and then he went up and made them do it, and they did it again.
Yeah.
I love it.
Classic.
Gamesmanship from
Yeah,
fans are
classic.
so much fun. Gamesmanship being on display, LeBron James. LeBron put up 56 points this weekend in a win over the Warriors, which was a big win they needed. This team's probably eliminated from playoff contention. I mean, they really are. They would almost have to win out to be in the discussion, and I just don't see them doing it with the squad they have. But I thought it was unique that LeBron's the only player that before the age of 21 and after the age of 35 scored 50 plus points. And that's, you got to think about some of these guys in history that were there that played really early and had really long careers, and they didn't do it. And I was even thinking, I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, what about Kobe? And I was like, oh, I guess not. So Kobe didn't score 50 before he was 21. That blew my mind because he came in
the league at
18 or
18.
19, right?
He did.
So he didn't score 50 points in the first 3 years he was in the league.
But if you remember his first couple years,
Yeah.
he was playing second fiddle to Shaq.
Right.
He wasn't the guy yet. Like, he
Yeah.
was a great complementary piece to Shaq.
But that explains to you how impressive this is. And the guy is on his way to another scoring time. Like, I hate LeBron, love Ron. We know you don't like LeBron, right? But it's impressive that the guy at the age of 35 is running at a scoring title. And when he was young, he was scoring running at a scoring title. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's your boy.
that is your boy.
He's not going to be in the playoffs. I didn't know that they were not going to be in the playoffs.
Well, they're not eliminated yet. I think they're sitting in the 9th seed, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're there, but
They need help.
they need help, and they're
how many teams make the playoffs?
8.
and their run down the way is the gauntlet. Like, I think they have Golden State again or something like that. I have to look at their schedule.
Yeah.
But their last 15 games are against teams that are in the top 5 in the playoff run.
So the chances are pretty slim. But they're not eliminated yet. But
I just think they're almost. And if not, then he's going to have to will them on their back. He's going to have to put up big points. He's going to have to be Batman. He's going to have to rock it for them to be able to get there.
Well,
I
from
just
the
thought-
looks though, he needs to be Batman and Robin.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has got nobody on that team that's
No.
helping him out.
Well, Malik Monk is playing well, but everyone else is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and they went out and signed DJ Augustine.
Yeah.
To play a little bit of point guard.
The
But,
Syracuse kid? Didn't he play at Syracuse?
I mean, a long time ago, maybe? I mean, you're talking about DJ Augustine.
That's
was
about
like,
when I watched basketball. Though.
I think he got drafted by the Charlotte Bobcats.
Yeah,
When it was
exactly.
still the Bobcats.
Well,
when Mecca
Shows you my
Okafor.
basketball knowledge.
But I'm telling you, this year's the top 5 in each playoff hunt, right, in the East and the West, is night and day from the bottom 5 or the bottom 7.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's
So
not even
who do you
close.
think's going to win it all this year then? Let's go there.
Well, so I kind of have to look back. It's really hard to look past the Bucks. It really is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out and say 76ers do it, and Embiid rocks through the playoffs and is the best player in the game, in the playoffs.
What about you,
I kind of like the Sixers too. I would like to see. I think it would be fun to
What's
watch.
their current odds right now?
Look up the current odds. I think that I would like to see a 76ers versus Golden State finals. I think that would be like a really televised.
Well, the Suns, I think, are the favorite.
The Suns are the
I think
favorite.
the Suns are the favorite.
Oh, they are.
But they lost Chris Paul, who probably
They think he'll be back. They think he'll be back
towards the end.
Towards the end,
as long as they can get past the first round.
Yeah, and they should be able.
They
to
should.
That team is very good.
All right, so here's the odds for this year's NBA championship. The Suns are plus 450. Golden State's plus 450. Brooklyn plus 450. So those three are at the top. You guys did not mention either of those two. You guys mentioned the next two. The Bucks at plus 650 and the 76ers at plus 650.
Well, I mentioned the Bucks, and I'll tell you why, and that's because they've got a three-headed monster that plays defense, and that shows up in playoffs. That's just purely it. They play defense. They've got three guys that can score. They've got arguably the best player in the game, right? And
the question is,
play as a team. So,
are my Dallas Mavericks and my Luka Doncic
our
I should say our. Jay's a true fan. I'm just cheering on my Luka cards that I've invested a lot of money in over the last 6 months. So they're at plus 3,500.
Yeah. His last.
They're going to make the playoffs?
Oh yeah.
Do they have a chance?
Probably.
I mean, anyone has a chance, especially with injuries that happen. Anyone has a chance. Will they just steamroll anybody? No.
No, they're in that. In my opinion, they're in that bottom five. Even if they are number 5, they're in that bottom 5 because they don't play defense.
Are the Clippers that bad?
The Clippers are that bad.
They're not making the playoffs.
No, and Kawhi's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking Kawhi's. My last thought, he's one of the best players in the league, and they're plus 10,000.
Yeah, Kawhi needs to go. Kawhi needs to go to Minnesota and play with Edwards.
Edwards and
yeah, because he needs to go somewhere that literally the media's voice can't be heard from a distance. They interview from another room. Like they don't even interview him in the same room. Like it needs to be that type because he can't stand the lights.
No, he doesn't want.
He can't do it.
Yeah, he only went to LA because he wanted to be back close to home.
The Bulls are your spoiler. The Bulls are the one that can knock off any of those big boys.
Yeah, I think the Bulls
they can catch fire.
Because
the
Bulls they're
get
plus 2,500.
Yeah, and
so
they can catch fire because you've got a guy, and the thing is that with DeRozan, you've got a guy there that actually has been around the block.
Yeah,
and the lights aren't ever too big for him.
Didn't he win a championship too in Toronto?
Yeah, so he's a guy, and he played Robin in that championship to Kawhi. And reality, he was probably the better player during the playoffs. He probably was.
Yeah.
And then with the Bulls, he's been lights out.
Yeah.
He's in the MVP talks. He's not the MVP this year, but he's in the talks. Incredible season for him and great story. But that team gets healthier. The tricky thing is that Wiseman may be back for the playoffs. So Golden State might get healthier, and they already got a guy halfway through the season with Klay Thompson.
Yes, that's
just got his legs underneath him, and then you pick up a
they're going to
big.
get tough out in the West.
You add a big, and that's kind of why they're sitting where they're at.
That's why I picked Golden State versus Philadelphia. Is who I think would be, because those are the two teams I think will come out.
Well,
I'm going to take the long shots. I'm going to go put some money on the Bulls.
The Bulls
and the Mavericks.
The Bulls
The
can
Bulls
get hot.
good.
The Bulls get by spoiled.
They're the one team that I see, because you'd like to think that it'd be the Heat, but the Heat just doesn't have enough depth.
Yeah.
Like they've got a good bench. Don't get me wrong, they've got a good bench. But they don't have enough top line depth. I mean, they've got the 6th man of the year, right, Tyler Hero, but they don't necessarily beyond that have shooters and stuff like that. They really have to rely on their big guys.
Yeah.
The Bulls, there's 5 guys on that team that'll put 40 up in the night on accident. They're athletic players and stuff like that. And then don't sleep on the Cavs, I guess, right? We don't know what we're getting in the Cavs in the playoffs. You got a bunch of young kids that just may not know any better. Last time I remember the Colorado Rockies having a bunch of really young players get into the World Series. A World Series they never should have been in. Had all these young guys that had no idea what they were doing in the playoffs. They were hitting bombs. So sometimes you play.
That was Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Rays. All these young kids out there, and you're like,
They just didn't give up.
Yeah, how the hell did they get there?
Yeah.
A bunch of young starting pitchers, young fielders. Like,
They just don't know any better.
yeah. Oops, we made it.
Yeah. So
Somebody else won the ship though this weekend. I saw on Facebook.
they did.
Congratulations once
Oh,
again
thanks.
to Jay Up. He's the coach of the 12U Blast team.
Yeah.
They went to the World Series this last summer. We were cheering them on and watching them the whole time. It
On
was awesome to
ESPN,
see
yeah.
them on ESPN, and they just went to a big tournament this weekend and took home the ship again, huh?
Took home the ship. Yeah, it was our first championship with this Blast team.
Okay.
It was the first club ball
awesome.
tournament we got, and so it was fun. It was fun to do it here at home. It was long day, long weekend, man.
You look a little
Long
sunburned
weekend.
there.
Windburned.
Windburn?
Sunburn and windburn, yeah, because
Yeah.
it was windy both days. Saturday was miserable. Saturday was like 25-mile-an-hour winds all day, never
There's
stopped.
nothing. We all played ball.
It's
There's nothing worse than playing baseball or softball
Yeah.
in the wind.
in the wind.
That's the worst time to play.
It was miserable,
Especially
but
if you pitch.
Oh my
Because
God.
if pitching, throwing into the wind,
yeah,
wind across you, or wind pushing the ball out, none of those are good combinations for anything. that you
yeah.
do.
Which my daughter does.
Change
My
it.
daughter does pitch, and so so she threw well. She threw well this weekend. She got us a win on Saturday, and then she pitched in the semifinal game to get us into the Final Four, and I'm sorry, I should say quarterfinals. To get us into the Final Four, and then she ended up starting the championship game. But it's a 7-inning game. There's no time limit on those.
Yeah.
Usually it's an hour 20 time limit.
Yeah.
The championship game is 7 innings, so
No
we
matter
knew we were
what,
going to
7
need
innings.
unless you run rule somebody, which is hard to do because you're playing another good team. So we ended up winning 15-8,
That's awesome.
and we had to go the full 7 innings. So my daughter started, and then we had another girl come in the middle, and then we had our closer come in and
Shut
it
them down.
Oh, she did too. She pitched 3 innings and shut down no hits the last 3 innings for
Wow.
the other team. So our closer came in and did her job, and we just kept hitting.
It's awesome when it all comes together.
Thanks. It was great. It was great. It was a fun win.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You want to talk about some winners? Let's talk about these guys in the NFL draft.
Yes, that's what I want to talk
Oh
about.
my gosh.
The boosted stock of the NFL draft.
Fastest NFL draft of all time. Running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs, offensive linemen, all fastest class ever. You had Kalen Barnes ran a 4.23. They thought he went 4.20. Thought he set the record and beat John Ross. He's 0.02 seconds behind John Ross for the record in the combine. But look at this grouping. So you've got 5 guys tied at 4.36. You have 4 players tied for 10th. So literally you had 14 players that ran 4.38 or better.
That's incredible.
That is just absolutely insane, guys.
If you don't understand how fast a 4.240 is, get your stopwatch out. Go try to run a 40 right now.
Yeah.
You're going to be in the 6 second. These guys are
Those
flying.
are the DBs.
Jesus.
Those were the DBs, but not to be outdone, the wide receivers also was the fastest wide receiver group since 2006. They tied it.
Wow.
They had 8 players that ran sub 4.4.
And it just shows you that's what the NFL's going to. They're looking for speed.
Well,
And that's one thing you can't teach is speed.
And we heard it this morning because Colin said, we're on the way in, he said the Chargers are looking at Chris Godwin. And he's like, it tells you what NFL teams are doing right now. They are stocking up on receivers. Because the Chargers don't need another receiver. Chargers want another receiver. That's different. You know what I mean?
If they go out and get Godwin, man, because I already heard they're going to try and tag Mike Williams.
That's done.
To try to keep him. So, like, if they get him and they still have Keenan Allen under contract, which I know he's getting a little bit older, but that's your possession guy. Like, he's not your deep
He's
threat.
good for 80 catches a year.
He's your possession guy. So now you have Godwin and Mike Williams on the sides and Keenan Allen. Like, to me, that would be pretty damn near unstoppable.
But these defensive backs, these guys are there, and these guys are highlighted because they're there to shut down the Jamar Chases. You know what I mean? That's what those guys are. So defenses, literally, your team's defense could look shut down different next year with the draft of one of these 2 kids in the top 14. Not counting, that's just of the defensive backs, plus all these other fast players that came through. And
2 of them from Baylor. 2 of those DBs were from Baylor.
That's nuts.
And they had the top wide receiver. So they had the top DB fastest 40 times and the top wide receiver fastest 40 times with Taekwon Thornton.
Well, let's talk.
You know anything about Baylor sports? Their track team is always in the top.
Yeah.
They're always in the top. So you know whatever they're doing down there in Baylor, they're teaching speed.
Yeah, if you're fast, you're going to Baylor.
Yeah.
So, speaking of fast, so Rich Eisen ran the 40, but he actually ran the 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, he ran the 20.
Very good.
Georgia has a lineman,
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis, and so Jordan Davis is a lineman he was pretty high. People were really looking at him. They thought he was pretty good, and he did this. Look at the speed of this guy. Unbelievable. Do you see that?
Imagine that guy chasing you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Bro,
god.
he's 341 pounds.
What if he jumped at the last second, like jumped the tackle? You would be just crushed.
I'd be
Imagine,
scared to death of that guy.
imagine if this guy goes to a team like the Chiefs, like the Bills, one of these teams that has the 49ers, that has this stable of running backs and has that guy as a pulling guard.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Guy is athletic. He's going to get downfield. Probably going to get some penalties because of how fast he is being downfield when he's not supposed to be.
Right.
But he's a guy that is.
Oh, he's an
absolutely-
offensive player?
He's an offensive player.
Oh, I thought he was a defensive player.
Yeah, he's an offensive player.
Oh, Jesus.
341 pounds.
He ran a 4.78. 4.78 as a 341 pound.
That's
Very slimming though.
On Instagram, I saw Aaron Donald working out. There's no way this guy's retiring. No. He is still shredded like the Hulk. He's huge. And he has abs that all of us in here would like die for.
Yeah.
And this guy's almost 300 pounds. It's like, how in the hell?
So on that front, so I'm glad you brought that up because it's interesting. So I read this rumor mill report that said that Matthew Stafford went to the team and was like, keep the core together. Let's make another run at it. We've got everything that we need, and what we have in the draft can just accent what is going to go on. And sat down with Aaron Donald and a couple of those guys.
They gotta run it back. One more
Donald
time. They
already
have to.
said. Donald already said that if they bring back Von Miller and OBJ, that he would.
They
he
said
would
they were
not
going to
retire.
sign OBJ, and
Right.
you know what? And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a classy move. The guy, you know, he gets his ACL,
Or his ACL in
right?
the Super Bowl. He ain't
Tears
gonna be
his
right for a long
ACL,
time.
right? And they don't have to have it. And they can probably find another receiver that would be a nice accent. That's a really classy thing.
His name is Robert
Guy.
Woods, and he's
Yeah.
already on the team.
Yeah.
And that's who will take over that spot with Cooper Kupp because they already have the rapport until OBJ gets back. And you already have Van Jefferson. I think he's still under his rookie contract,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. So you have guys that are there.
Well,
so
their running back core is under rookie contracts, right?
yeah,
And you have a guy, Tutu Atwell, that didn't play.
yeah.
So, I mean, you've got this team is going to get
You have
better,
the tight
which
ends
is
there.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a classy move by the Rams because that is a time where you actually can go ahead and say, well, thanks for everything. Appreciate it, right? We've seen it in the NFL. This is different than what most NFL teams would do. I thought that was kind of cool. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aaron Donald said he wouldn't retire if they brought back OBJ and Von Miller. He said, I'm still in.
So
he ain't going anywhere.
this guy at the draft had an absolutely amazing draft. And let me tell you what happened here. So Friday after the draft let out, this was caught by
the combine.
a fan, the combine. And this is Malik Willis, the Liberty quarterback.
Oh, I love it.
And he's digging through his bag. He pulls out a bag of like snacks and food and gives it to a lady who's asking for some money for some food. And he does it. He's by himself. He doesn't have an entourage. He's rolling his bag down the street, and he gets caught by this standby. You know, guys getting all these kids that are leaving the combine to get video of his fan, and catches him do that. The guy already had a great combine. He already had good marks. I'm going to tell you now, there's got to be a couple of draft boards that he jumped up. There has to be.
Well, he was already going to go in the first round, and he was supposedly going to be the first quarterback taken. So yeah, this just solidifies that, in my opinion. Like it's solidified. He's going to be the first quarterback off the board. Like
And
it's
if you watched anything about the combine this weekend, we watched a lot of it here in the shop. That he was the one quarterback that stood out to all of us sitting around watching. He looks bigger, faster, stronger.
his deep ball.
He
You see his
throws
deep ball?
an
And he throws a
amazing ball.
nice deep ball.
Yeah,
Not
he was like
just-
right
he
on the
doesn't
money.
just throw a big one that like just a lot of air underneath
Yeah.
it, like Mac Jones throws one with a lot of air
Yeah.
underneath it. Dude, it is sharp. It is on point.
Yeah.
He's gonna be nasty. He's gonna be nasty, and
He's raw though, Josh Allen-esque.
Yeah.
Where Josh Allen came into the league, where
Yeah.
raw talent out the roof. He could
Yeah.
jump through the charts. He could throw through the charts. That's going to be Malik Willis. I think he's going to be the one guy that really escapes out of this draft as quarterback that people are going to be excited to see.
So the question becomes, and this is what I'm starting to see. The question becomes: there's this rumor. I don't like this rumor, but the Eagles are going to be willing to move some of their multiple picks to get up to get in. Which doesn't make sense because Jalen Hurts had a nice year and probably should have been a Pro Bowl.
And
that is the most Eagles thing that I've heard.
Right. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, I was like...
No, but that's what the Eagles do.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
He's the same quarterback with a year under his belt. Why would they do that?
Well, that's a Howie Roseman move because Howie Roseman wants to make it about Howie Roseman and make a splash.
Now,
what he wants to be the guy they all talk about.
I'd like to see the Panthers go ahead and make the move, but I think the Lions might do it. Jared Goff there. I think they go ahead and draft the young guy to replace Jared Goff. I don't think they believe that Jared Goff is the guy.
I mean, how much time does Goff have on his contract?
He said 2 years. This is when they made the trade. And Stafford, they both went under contract like 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so if they do that, then they can actually sit Willis a little bit to get him to speed.
Until they lose the first 8 games like they normally do.
Yeah. Right, and it would probably be 6.
But it would be fun. You know, you've got a nice little offensive core coming together there.
But do they have the right coaching staff?
Well, again, they have the coaching staff that team's chosen. That's what they have.
I know, but do they have the right staff to get what they need to get out of Malik Willis? Like, he has to go to the right coaching staff. You can't just put him on like the Lions and be like, oh yeah, they're gonna really get the best out of him.
One thing I did see at the combine is Dan Campbell chew some tobacco. My God, his cheek was like he was sitting there and he's such a massive man.
Right.
I'm like watching this guy chew on the whole time. They zoom in because but they got the number 2 pick or number. Right? What the Lions at? Number 2 pick.
Yes.
So they keep, every time they show a guy, they show him, and he's just like, spitting in his cup. I'm like, this dude, man, he just doesn't give a shit.
I would love to see Willis go to Carolina.
I think that would be a
really nice fit for him, especially if they can get McCaffrey healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
The last time they had a big, strong running quarterback, they went to the Super Bowl. So
I think that would be kind of a neat place for him to go. He's not going to have, he comes from a smaller school. He's not going to have the big lights shining on him there. Might just be a perfect scenario.
Yeah, you definitely don't want this kid to go to one of the big time cities.
Don't want him to just when New York is on the clock, pray that they just think that Daniel Jones can get it done.
No,
they can't. They're not giving him an extension.
We're guys. We don't have to worry about that. We already know Russell Wilson is going to be in the red, white, and blue this summer.
No,
so don't worry. I've already put it in the atmosphere. It's going to happen.
I hope you guys take Kenny Pickett and his tiny little hands.
And his tiny hands.
That's what I said. He's a part of my team. This tiny hand team.
Yes. Now, guys get knocked for small hands, and he was fumble prone. So he had 83 fumbles in college, right? Which is a little excessive. It's about a half a fumble a game. So it just kind of gives you an idea.
He fits right in with Daniel Jones.
Right. So that is a little scary, but the guy throws a pretty good ball, and they did knock Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow almost retired. He said in his tweet.
But Joe Burrow's hand size was at least 9 inches, which isn't huge.
What is Kenny Pickett's?
Kenny Pickett's 8.5.
Yeah.
Oh, half inch shorter.
8.5 inch hands, right? And
how? Since when are grown men talking about other men's hands?
Well, I'll tell you.
I talk about hand size every other
mind
weekend.
blowing.
The difference on this is the reason why it's being talked about is the NFL football figure in college.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
And of the 31 quarterbacks to throw 270 passes or more, you know how many of them were under 9 inches? Zero.
Yeah. I
Zero.
saw that one coming. Yeah.
So
I was wondering, he had gloves on. He was the only quarterback in the combine that has gloves. Yeah.
He was a sticky glove.
Yeah.
To me, it makes me think he feels very Baker-esque. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
But that's what he feels like.
Yeah.
He feels like he's going to go to a city, he's going to get a job, he's going to actually probably start. He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
And then he's just
going to destroy.
Just going to get beat by the speed of the game.
To me, I think he's a Washington Commanders type of quarterback. It's going to be that. It's going to be that type of thing that they're going to go out and get him. I think
move up a little bit.
Well,
grab a guy.
Everything I heard is he's a 3rd or 4th round talent that's going to go in the 1st round because there's no quarterback talent
to the Washington Commanders. There's only 2 quarterbacks in the history that have had like lengthy careers with under 9 inch hands. You think about all the quarterbacks that have played this game, right? Michael Vick and Tony Romo. Both had lengthy NFL careers with under 9 inch hands, but neither one of them were 8.5 inches.
That's crazy.
Well, and you saw how good Tony Romo's hands actually were when he fumbled that snap.
That was a bad
Awesome.
snap.
Yeah.
That was a bad snap.
It wasn't Tony Romo's fault.
No, it was a bad snap.
No, but I like that he joked.
I love how you
He did.
instantly stick up for it.
I will tell you this though. Speaking of fumbling around, Major League Baseball and the lockout,
Oh my god.
all they're doing is they keep pushing the piece of paper back and forth, and all they do is move the lines up and down. That's it. That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything except changing the order.
Yeah.
Right? And these guys can't figure it out. And there's not much news to talk about this week outside of the Players Association submitted a new proposal. Congratulations. But something that I thought was interesting was if you're a free agent, there's verbiage in the collective bargaining agreement that was prior that said that if it went to a lockout, a free agent could search to play in another professional league because he didn't receive a game check prior to the lockout. So, kind of interesting because if you think about it, you have the Mexican League and then you also have the Japanese League, which are the two kind of
Big ones.
bigger
Yeah,
ones,
yeah.
right? You already have Yasiel Puig playing in Japan. Gregory Polanco, who was with the Pirates, is now playing in Japan. The Mexican League is already starting to get some of those major leaguers coming in, and it's kind of messing with the Mexican League because Mexican League normally by now would have the guys that may not have thought they were didn't get invited to Major League Camp or something like that. Those
Right.
guys would be there playing, and they kind of are leaving roster spots open to be able to bring some of these players in. But could you imagine? Because we saw Bryce Harper's tweet, right? He joked around, "Hey, Nippin' Giants, let's let's
fun.
come mash." The problem is he's under contract; he can't go anywhere. But Carlos Correa could go to the Mexican League because he's playing for that next contract, and showcase himself right now when no one else is doing anything, and could get himself a few extra millions when this lockout lifts because of the fact that he's ready and he shows that he's like putting effort in. I think that's a move that I think that's something he can do, and obviously,
And also
he's
get
not-
paid.
and he gets paid.
Correct.
The big
And
thing
they
I
pass
think
the hat
everyone's-
down, bro.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. You hit a 3-run jack in that league, and they pass the hat around the stadium, and hundreds of thousands of dollars come into the dugout
Yeah.
in the hats. Like it's almost better for the players to, do that. I mean, and this is not nearly that, but like the Mexican League locally here in the men's league, like I got paid to play in the Mexican League here, and they would do that. Like if I hit a home run, I'd come in and there'd be, $35 sitting in the dugout of people who passed the money down and gave it.
I
Like
love it.
that's awesome, but that's the culture, and
Yeah.
it really is that. And it's kind of the same thing. So you could see a couple of big names or guys that are on that edge of 40 men, and they could be the guys that could actually.
Especially
turn
if it
around.
starts stretching.
Yeah.
First couple weeks, I think guys are going to hold out and wait a little bit to see what's going on. But if we start getting closer to where it's like now they cut week 2, week 3, week 4 out of the MLB season.
Well, we've already
these
got
guys.
2 weeks gone.
Yes. So now,
First 2 series are gone.
First 2
That's
weeks,
that's 9 days. 9 days is gone of the season.
so now you're looking at if you're a Carlos Correa, yeah, he has millions of dollars, but if he could go out and make some extra money during this time and showcase and get in shape, I think it's a great idea.
So they're already down to 150 games. What are they going to do? How are they going to?
So,
How are they
and
gonna
they're talking
showcase
about
their
they're talking about expanding the playoffs. What are they going to do? Play into December?
It's
Right?
hard,
Like,
but it's hard to squeeze that into 150 games.
yeah, and it's gonna be a tough road, for Major League Baseball if they lag a little too far. I told you I thought a few weeks ago that they were gonna be at a deal, and it really was the players made a left-hand turn, like in the the 10th hour.
Yep.
And they made a left-hand turn, and the owners decided fine, you're gonna make that left-hand turn. We're gonna go ahead and stay in our lane.
Yeah, I did not think this was going to happen like the way it's kind of panned out because like with the whole COVID thing kind of like shutting down and stuff like that, and like you missed out on all that spring training last year. I thought they were really going to make a
Well,
push
that's
to
where
get
I
this
thought-
done to have a full season.
I thought players would make concessions there because of the fact that owners paid them during a time period they didn't have revenue coming through the door.
Right.
So, and the thing is, if Manfred, like, that guy, oh my God, so they knew we were going to be locked out in December.
Yeah.
They didn't start negotiating, not even negotiating, for almost 2 months later.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like,
That's a
how
bad
do you
move,
know?
too.
You are the commissioner of the league. You know it's getting locked out in December. 100% sure it's getting locked out. You should have got on the table right then and there and said, let's start working on it.
And you're the owner's guy. And
Yes.
This is where I have the problem. You're the owner's guy. Your job is to protect the owners who just went through a pandemic and didn't have players, either at the minor league level or at the major league level, being able to put revenue in those ballparks, to be able to put that back in your pocket.
Right.
So you are already outside of your budget. So these teams are already out of their budget, and he does that, he will be short-lived. I'm going to say
Epic fail on his part.
He's going to be short-lived.
Like, if the owners aren't already pissed and ready to cut his head now, they're definitely going to be. If this lockout continues and they keep losing money, we're not talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers and these type of teams.
We're talking about
The small market,
San Diego,
Pittsburgh, Tampa, all these small,
where these owners,
Oakland A's.
yes, these owners own this team as their business, their main source of income.
Yeah.
And if you start screwing with people's main source of income, that's when you're going to have big
And you're in Oakland, you don't have people running out and buying, Davis jerseys, and that, like, they're not doing it right now.
No.
So
that's because they're coming to Vegas, so nobody gives a shit.
So there's no revenue. So that's a team that really is taking it, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have players on your roster that are, turning the tide and getting, in the top 10 in jersey sales. So
Yeah, we're more like a minor league team anyways. We just kind of like a feeder team for the Yankees and Red Sox.
yeah, it is. We do know minor league baseball.
You're welcome.
Minor league baseball will start. But it is time for Jay's Fantasy Roundup, the sports program, where Jay tells us what we should be looking at in the world of fantasy sports. What's up, Jay?
So I'm going to talk a little bit today about that wide receiver class that we just talked about at the combine, and we talk about speed all the time, right? And speed doesn't always translate into like a great receiver, but it certainly helps draft stock. Like we can remember just a couple of years ago with McCole Hardman, right? At Georgia, that got drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he was a guy that, and I did a lot of extensive research when it comes to dynasty, like these rookie drafts and dynasty leagues, and he came out of nowhere. We weren't talking about McCole Hardman, and then he had a huge, 40 time, ends up getting drafted fairly high, is what I thought, by the Kansas City Chiefs, and immediately everyone's thinking, this guy's going to be an absolute stud. He's got Patrick Mahomes throwing to him. They already have Tyreek Hill there, who's a speedster. So this can get you draft capital, and it can make a difference, especially even if you're not going to use the guy, because if you drafted McCole Hardman, you could have turned around and flipped him like we do in the sports card industry to someone that bought into the speed. So you use them as bargaining chips. Yeah. So I'll run down the quick list of names here of guys just to be looking at, especially in the NFL draft as it gets closer, is Taekwon Thornton, we talked about from Baylor, the 4.28. So he ran the fastest time at the combine. That's his official time. I know unofficially it was like a 4.24 or something like that, but they changed it to a 4.28. Velus Jones ran a 4.31. Calvin Austin third, 4.32, and then you have a big mix of these guys that were just barely under 4.4. Chris Olave from Ohio State. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that's the first name taken off the board. If he lands in a good situation where they need a wide receiver,
he's not just speed; he's a big time receiver.
Well, that's it. The intangibles. What you do is you look at these guys and you say, intangibles equal to speed.
Yes.
You've got a game. Now you got a guy.
But now he put his name towards the top of the list because you had Drake London, who's one of the top guys. He didn't run. He's still recovering from injury, so he didn't run the 40.
Okay.
So he didn't hurt his stock, but he didn't help it. You know what I mean? And that's the guy they're talking about being like the first wide receiver taken in dynasty drafts. But Olave is going to be there in the first round of dynasty drafts, to where if he lands in a good spot, he could be drafted ahead of Drake London, who maybe doesn't land in such a favorable spot. You never want to see your wide receiver that you're putting all this stock into, and we talk about stock in the card game, right? Well, when you're doing rookie drafts in fantasy, it's the same type of thing. I don't want to put my stock into a wide receiver that gets drafted by the Baltimore Ravens or the Tennessee Titans. I don't want those two teams. If my guy lands there, I'm pissed. Yeah. Because Baltimore Ravens is where wide receivers go to die. I don't care how good they are in college. I don't care what they do in the combine. That's where they go to die. Rashad Bateman was an absolute stud. I loved him out of Minnesota last year. He gets drafted by the Ravens. I don't want him anymore. I have 0 shares. I have 13 dynasty leagues. I have 0 shares of Rashad Bateman. I don't want him. But then you get somebody like a Rondale Moore, who was very fast, ran a good 40 time. He goes to Arizona. I have him in 3 leagues, and he didn't pan out the first year, but they had a lot of things going on there, right? And he's somebody that I've been looking to purchase in the offseason to own on my dynasty team, because I think that going forward, he's going to be a stud, even though he's a smaller wide receiver. So names to look for are just Danny Gray, Bo Melton, Christian Watson, and then obviously Garrett Wilson, who's teammates with Olave. Those are the guys you want to look and see where they land. Landing spot could be a huge deal with those guys come draft time.
Ohio State, we love the wide receivers, hate the quarterbacks.
I hate the quarterbacks. I will not draft. I broke my own rule last year, and I said I will not draft an Ohio State quarterback, and it came down to Superflex League. I had to have a quarterback in this league to compete. I drafted stupid Justin Fields, and I regret it every second ever since then. I've tried to trade him so many times.
Now, you know what's weird? You mentioned Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Have you realized that his stock in the card market has caught up to Trevor Lawrence?
Why?
Fan base.
I'm praying for just one good game for Justin Fields. If you can put together 2 good games for me, I'm shipping him off my team so fast you wouldn't even know it.
It's fan base. It's fan base. And it's gross.
Maybe just the fact that they got rid of Nagy. Maybe they get rid of Nagy, and so now the fan base is like, sweet, we got rid of Nagy. We can unleash Justin Fields. Please do.
Jesus. All right, let's take a look at some of the product coming out this week.
Finally.
Finally.
The Rock has come back. No. We finally have some decent football new product coming out. We're talking weeks, since Mosaic football came out, and that was the last big football product that came out. We had a couple, little ones come out here and there, but Contenders. Still my favorite. I know a lot of people go with Prism, and a lot of people say there's certain ones, but the Contenders Cracked Ice QB cards, I promise you, and I promise you guys this, I will own a Trevor Lawrence Cracked Ice number to 23 within the next 6
Number to 21 this year.
21 this year?
Give it to 24.
Even better. I will have one of those 21 cards.
Bounty out for a Cracked Ice.
At some point. I had a Herbert, I had a Mahomes, and I've sold them all way too soon.
Yeah.
So I am going to buy me one.
While you do that, why don't you buy me a Davis Mills?
Okay. We'll look into Davis Mills.
Do the Cracked Ice come in autos or?
Yes. So it is a Cracked Ice auto.
And they do variations too. So
there'll be like 3 different ones.
3 different ones, and then there's variations, usually variation poses. One of them can be a little more desirable than the others.
Yeah.
So maybe if you do get one of those and you have it for a couple weeks, Steve can sell it.
Well, he did sell out my Herbert card. So now my wife felt so bad. She went out and bought me a very nice framed Justin Herbert jersey that's going to go up right behind me here today. So to make up for the fact that Steve did sell out my card right from underneath.
I did, but I only sold what you wanted sold.
It is true.
It wasn't like you sold it behind your back.
It was like legitimately, and
it was a ridiculous number that you couldn't pass up.
It wasn't a ridiculous number. It was a good number. It was a good number for that card.
Yes.
Giving where it was, because at one point it wasn't a good number, and down the road, will it be a good number? There's an argument that it could be a big card down the road.
Historically, he's undersold. So like this could be something to where he looks back in maybe a year or two and be like, why the hell did I sell that?
No, the nice news for him is he'll blame me this time.
Yeah. Correct.
So now he's got scapegoat.
Right. And to have the scapegoat makes me feel a little bit better about it.
And it's even rougher.
So when it's a $100,000 card in about a year and a half,
and
I'll look at Steve and I'll say, Steve, remember that $100,000 card you sold for $20,000?
Remember you're a Chargers fan, Steve, and you went to U of O and you sold Herbert?
Yeah.
What if it's 5 years down the road and it's one of those ones you see in the auction where it's like 1.1 million? And
I'll cry.
He will. But at the same
I'll shed a little tear, but I'll know that I've turned that $20,000 into about 15 other cards that hopefully I'll have some more stock in that I can make a little money on and keep the train moving.
What I thought was cool though is that it went to an absolute Chargers super fan who is buying every Herbert out there, a version of the different Herberts.
That's great.
So this guy is all in because it's his team.
It's a smart player to get invested in.
That was at least cool. Like,
it's a smart player to get invested in.
If it was some Joe Schmo that got it and like he's just gonna
try to flip it right away again,
and try to make more money, I would be a little more disappointed in this. I believe this is going to be held in this collection for a while.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That makes me feel good about it.
So Contenders is coming out this week. Be very excited.
5 autos.
Yes, 5 autos per box. We all know how kind of Contenders works, though. You get about 4 guys that are in their underwear running and stuff and doing different things that are no-name guys that even us who do sports cards and we do podcasts and we do fantasy and we do all these things and we talk sports 100% of the time, we don't even know who they are. They're like, oh, this is like some defensive lineman from East Carolina State. Okay, cool.
Right.
But
they
we'll
did
have
a
a
cool
ton
thing
of it.
too. They've got the I think it's either a Hall of Fame card, but it's these veterans or retired players, and they're numbered to 20 or less. So that's also cool. So that's kind of a nice little add-in that you're gonna be able to get a Peyton Manning auto to less than 20 or.
And see, that's what I like the product like that is if you don't hit a big auto like that, you still have a chance to get those numbered cards, which makes it work well.
So, and it's
It's heavy base, guys. I'm sorry, but it is.
It's heavy base. We will not be shipping the base in any of our formats. All the base will be given to the kiddos here in the shop. That's how we've always done contenders. Nobody wants 9,000 no-name base cards that all they do is take up room at the house.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz. No one's 9,000 Carson Wentz and McCole Hardman.
So I'll be posting that up actually today for a fill on the Facebook page for Wednesday. We're going to do half case formats, but we'll also have it on Whatnot. We'll have it on all our channels as well.
Let's talk about that. So, Jimmy, you made a threat.
I did.
You made a threat, right?
What was my threat?
Your threat was you were going to go on Whatnot and break contenders this week.
Oh, I could do that too.
He is going to. We're going to make him at least break one box on Whatnot.
Oh, come on.
So we're gonna do that.
The Godfather will make an appearance, as you guys say.
Will make an appearance.
I will show up on the Whatnot stream.
Maybe the banker will show up then too. Maybe it'll be a dual stream where the banker will show up with a deal or no deal.
Oof.
That would be. We got to try to make that happen.
Yeah.
Be ready.
Hey, watch out for that. And we're not. I'm telling you, when we post this, guys, it's gonna be a sneaky thing. We're just gonna pop open the stream, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like, boom, contenders. Let's go.
Let's go. We're ripping contenders.
So it'll be fun. All right, time for the plus or minus segment. So this is where I give you guys some thoughts on investments in the sports card world. We've had some really cool ones lately. We've had some fun stuff, and I think that one thing that gets overlooked a lot is everybody gets so set on what's the rookie card worth or what is this card worth for that. It happens a lot when you get into parallels and especially case hits. And, I want to talk a little bit about the case hits in particular. From Illusions, you had the Hollow Heroes, right? And the Hollow Heroes are a really nice insert, and you've got a handful of them that go for a lot of money, and then you've got a bunch of them that don't go for much. And it's because they did 2 or 3 versions of a player. Like Trevor Lawrence, nice case hit, it's a rookie. There's only a few. Because, a few dollars of value because there's 3 different versions of it. So a lot of times we get wrapped up in the fact that it's a case hit. Yes, case hit's always nice. It's a nice, but when you're talking investment, some of those may not be the best thing for you. Your mic died. Hold on, guys. I'm going to fix it real quick. I can do it. I can do it. All right. So when you guys are thinking about investments on these type of cards and these type of things, one of the things you have to think about is stuff that's numbered or really rare, right? And some of the stuff that can be really rare are things like the swirls or the peacocks, right? Those are always, pretty hard to find, and a lot of times those cards are numbered, right? What is it? The koi that is in the Spectra, right? It's another one. So there's some of those. The one that I think is really like a good value right now is Genesis.
Yes.
I think Genesis is one that you guys can really put some money into. This Curry card sold for $350, and I personally believe that is underpriced.
Well, if you just look at those Genesis cards, they just look awesome. And you could get these. We're not talking. Yes, all the rookie stuff is going to be kind of expensive. It's going to be more money than the average person wants to pay for a card.
Right.
But if you could go into like the Drew Breeses, the Patrick Mahomes, these type of guys that the prices are going to be a little bit less, and pick up these Genesis or these Peacocks for a fair price, I think those are going to be the set that everybody's going to be looking after for a long time.
Well, like this one, an example is at National Pride.
Yeah.
And I would see guys completing sets of the National Pride Genesis insert.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a phenomenal set, and it looks amazing. And we don't really know what the rarity and numbers are on them, but we're coming to find out they're pretty darn rare.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think somebody was saying it's like 25 or less, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not anything crazy.
You just got to remember there's one of every player, so
And every variation, every version, everything's going to have
rookie, the debut, all that stuff is in there. So, but again, this is a card that you can get into now, and I feel like what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the early kabooms.
Yeah.
When the kabooms first hit, they were kind of like, yeah, these are cool, they're neat, they're a nice novelty, people like them, and then 18 hit, and all of a sudden you had Fernando Tatis, and you had Giannis, and you had these guys that like people just went nuts for, and that really kind of took that next step, and I feel like the Genesis is on its way.
I agree. I think it's a great buy.
So, but again, guys, case hits, some of them, say like the score case hits or something like that, may not be good investment items, whereas there's other ones that you definitely can. We think the Genesis is probably a really good value for you guys. That's what I got today for the plus or minus segment. Now, we do have coming up at 12:30 today, Jay Up will be on Whatnot doing a mixture of football breaks of just boxes, personals, and some football singles.
Yes.
So he'll be on at 12:30 on Whatnot, and that's going to be on the GameDay LV channel. And that's actually some news that we got this week that I think is pretty cool, and that is, guys, we started on our second channel already. So our second channel of Whatnot is already off and running. So I guess that's breaking news.
It is breaking news.
Breaking news.
It is breaking news.
But no, seriously, our second channel is GameDay Las Vegas. So we've got GameDay LV, we got GameDay Las Vegas. The soccer show will actually push next week. We'll push to that channel, and we'll go a half an hour after Jay. So Jay will start at 12:30 doing football, and it's going to be Football Monday, and then Football will be going on GameDay Las Vegas.
Perfect.
With our man Argentino De Loco.
Hello.
So he'll be on there. He's a lot of fun. And again, he'll be on today at 3 o'clock. So Jay will be on at 12:30 on the GameDay LV platform, and then at 3 o'clock today, we will have Argentino on.
Yes, we will.
Lots of shows, tons of stuff scheduled. Today is crazy. Mondays are crazy.
Yeah.
Because we literally start at 12:30, and it goes 12:30, then 3 o'clock, then you're back on at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hoodie decides that he wants to just be up all hours of the night. He wants to see our island folk. That's what he likes to do. I mean, he likes to get some singles out, some Percy's for our island folk over there. So he stays on late. Because they, you get on at 9.
Yeah.
And what is it, 7, 6 o'clock?
6.
On the island, right? So, perfect time for him to be able to get in and provide some product for them that they have a hard time getting. So, that's cool.
All right, boys. Well, that's it for episode number, 18 it is, huh?
18, yes.
We're rocking and rolling, flying through this stuff. It's been a great time. So we'll see you guys back next week for episode 19. See you then. Let's go monster on it.
Let's go.
Hey everybody, we're coming live to you from the GameDay studio here at the GameDay Card Shop. Make sure you join us every Monday at 12:30 Pacific